Hello everyone, this is Josh with Tuxedo Talk, and in the last video we talked about how ugly people don't actually exist, which is one of the biggest mental blocks that are holding back a lot of people. And the next thing we're going to be talking about tonight is something that's not actually a mental block, and that's being poor. And how that does suck, and that is something that you need to do. But before we get into that, we're going to do the cigar, and one of you wonderful people, user YT9, a whole bunch of other shit, you couldn't be bothered to come up with a memorable name, so I couldn't be bothered with memorizing it, but you told me that what I need to do first is light the cigar, as in heat it, and then puff on it. So we're about to see if that theory matters. Alright. See, the difference is now I don't have an excuse to keep quiet while I'm lighting the cigar and think, because there's nothing in my mouth. So let's see. That's nice and lit. Now let's give her a puff. I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. I am not sophisticated enough to tell the difference, but the end result is that I get to put something big, long, and brown in my mouth, and hot, so I'm happy. But anyway, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the world of business to business. And what do I mean by that? Well, YouTube is full of people, usually some role model, I'm super rich and successful douchebag who's teaching you about how to find customers, run a business, blah, blah, blah. And all those are where you're trying to sell the normies. And what I mean by that is let's say that you had a window cleaning company like I do. You're going to go to a whole bunch of people's houses and try and convince them to let you come into their home and wash their windows. And that is, oh, see, look at that, went out. See, sorry, my friend. Nope, this ain't going to work. You had me break one of my cardinal rules. I listened to other people. Never do that. Which is why you should definitely not listen to me. But, where was I? That's right. Business to business. You see, most of them, what they're trying to do is get you to sell to normal people that earn a wage customers. But the problem with that is that there's only so many handmade bracelets and necklaces that the world needs. What you can do is where you try to get into what is known as the business-to-business world. And that is where you're trying to sell goods and services to other businesses. For example, you might an example of a business-to-business business would be the people who supply the food to the restaurants. They're in the business of making sure that the business has food. And now, you might think to yourself, well, business people are very shrewd. They're not likely to want to spend money. And there's not as many businesses as there are people, by definition. So this sounds like a really competitive world. And it is, I'm not going to lie to you. But it's a much less tapped world for side hustles. And it's a lot easier in a lot of ways to sell. Because what you have to realize is that when, let's say you've got a bracelet, some soap, a candle, some product that you're trying to sell to the world, or you're trying to go to a person and cut their grass or clean their windows, you're going to a person who's had to work, in all likelihood, exchange their labor for their money. And by the time that person gets done paying all their bills, all their taxes, all their expenses, it's a very small pool of money that they have left over. And you're trying to convince them to then take that small pool of money and hand it over to you. So if a person's making $40 an hour, by the time they pay for everything in their life, they've actually been making something like maybe $8 an hour that's actually in their hand, if they're lucky and they live a conservative lifestyle financially. So if your product costs $16, you're not really telling them, give me $16. What you're saying is, sacrifice 2 hours of your working life that you were at your job to have my product. That's a tough sell. But if you go into the business to business world, you're not asking that person to spend their money per se. If you're good at sales in the business to business world, you're basically telling them is, I want to make you more money. Spending money with me makes you money. And here's 2 simple examples of that. Let's say you get into advertising, and you're going to say, you're not spending $10,000 to advertise with me. I'm going to make you 20. So you're about to go out and make an additional $20,000, and I'm going to get a cut of it. Because if you advertise with me, you're going to make more money. Or let's say, it's just a simple example of another end of the business world is, you're going to go to a trucking company and you can change the oil for them. And you have some new way of doing it that's going to save them money. Well, there's no scenario where these people don't spend the money on changing the oil in their trucks. They have to. It's part of the business. You're simply saying to them is, you're not spending money with me. You're saving money with me. Whereas the person that buys the bar of soap with you, they don't have to buy the bar of soap. They don't have to buy from you. They can just keep the money or spend it on anything else. But there's no scenario where that trucking company does not spend money on oil changes. It's set in stone. So, if you approach it with that mindset, it's a lot easier to make the sale. The other thing, too, is that you can see out in the world is the next time you go into a restaurant or any business, look around and try and say, what's fucked up around here? Maybe the bathroom is disgusting. Well, any idiot can clean a bathroom. You can go to them and say, hey, look, I've noticed that you're having a hard time keeping up on your bathrooms. Maybe I can come in once a week, make it spotless for you, and we can work out a price. Matter of fact, that's one of the ways that I fell into a very nice revenue stream for me. I was predominantly, again, doing window cleaning and pressure washing, and I was looking to pressure wash this gas station. Well, the owner was asking me, well, can you clean up my pumps weekly and hit my bathrooms? And I was sitting there looking at it and saying, like, to pressure wash your pumps is going to be really expensive every week. And he goes, no, I just want somebody to just get the dust and stuff off of them and clean up the bathrooms. Well, I mean, I clean the bathrooms at the fire station, so that's not a big issue. I mean, now a gas station bathroom is a lot more filthy, but I just charged accordingly. So now I've been doing that for that guy weekly for a couple of years now, and I've strung together a whole bunch of other ones. I mean, I go through once a week when I get off from the fire station. I knock out a few of them, and I make like $400 cash in about 3 hours at a time. It's not a bad little income stream. You can do something like that too. The point is, with the business-to-business world, you have to learn to identify, look around, and say, what is screwed up here and how could I fix it? Your whole goal for going with other businesses is, you're saying, I want to take care of the nickel and dime problems so that you can make dollars. Another guy that I saw who had a great idea is in kitchens. They have very, very expensive plastic cutting boards that over time they start getting lines on them, and then the health inspector will gig them on it and they got to get rid of it. Well, what this guy figured out how to do is, because he had a background in doing body work on cars, he would come in once a month, collect up their cutting boards, take them to his shop, sand them down perfectly smooth, and also, too, while he was at it, sharpen their knives and bring it back to him. So the guy would show up once a month, collect all their shit, spend maybe a couple of hours in his workshop doing it, bring it back the next morning, make bank, And the restaurant was unbelievably happy because now they don't have to buy these expensive cutting boards anymore. So he wasn't, it's not that he was taking money from them, he was saving money from them, for them. So that's the big mindset change you have to have. The other thing that's real nice, if you even have just a day job, a 9 to 5, a Monday through Friday, your business can be a complete and utter failure and it's fine as long as it has very, very low overhead. Because the big thing that you need to be able to do is that you can use it as a tax, I don't want to say tax dodge, even though really that's what it is. But your business can lose money for the first 3 years before the IRS starts considering that a hobby. So, now, when you're driving around, well, you're scouting for business opportunities. You can write off the mileage on your vehicle. A lot of the things that you purchase, if you can figure out how to relate it back to your business, well, those are all tax deductible. There's a certain percentage of your home. If you run a home office, well, now, that's tax deductible. You're going to have your customers call you on your cell phone, right? Your cell phone bill is now tax deductible. So, even if you just have a wage job, you can make $10,000 to $15,000 a year standing on your head just in having less taxes come out of your day job. And then, if you have a spouse, it's even more beautiful. So you start up your general cleaning company, it posts a loss for the first 3 years, then you shut it down. Next, your wife starts up a tailor company. Well, she posts a loss for the first 3 years, then she shuts it down. You guys can give yourselves a permanent raise. All little things that you can do. But the real money is in actually trying to make your small business-to-business business work. Because I got into the maintenance end of the world when I was, 23, 24, something like that. So about 10 years ago. And my whole goal at the time was make an extra $500 a month, just for a little bit of extra spending money. And now, at this point, I make about 4 times as much as I do with my fire department salary, just me. I'm basically only there because of the insurance for my family, and it's a paid day off. Because, well, I'm the kind of person that if I went fully into business, I'd spend more time being great at business and not being a very good dad. But the point is, you don't have to be poor.